This is Mac OS Ken.
No money, no problem for Apple and OpenAI, a suit and a fine for the Cupertino company, and tales from TV land. It is Friday, the 14th of June, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. What is who paying for the tie-up between Apple and OpenAI for ChatGPT in Apple Intelligence? As Morning Guy Ty used to say, nuttin' honey. I don't think he was the only one that said that. Anyway, a piece from Bloomberg has unnamed sources indicating that the partnership isn't expected to generate meaningful revenue for either party, at least at the outset. Basically, OpenAI gets the exposure of running on hundreds of millions of Apple devices, while Apple gets an advanced chatbot that may get people to spend more time on devices and/or spend more money on devices. That said, money may come into it. Right now, OpenAI pays Microsoft to host ChatGPT on Mr. Softy's Azure cloud computing systems. Add hundreds of millions of potential users in one fell swoop, and OpenAI's costs could go up a bit. Bloomberg figures OpenAI may try to offset those costs by upselling Apple Intelligence users on a paid ChatGPT account. Do that through Apple Intelligence, and Apple will probably pull in a bit of do-re-mi on its own. As it stands now, Bloomberg says if a user subscribes to OpenAI on an Apple device via the ChatGPT app, the process uses Apple's payment platform, which traditionally gives the iPhone maker a cut. News of a new lawsuit against Apple from some employees. The Wall Street Journal says 2 female Apple employees filed a proposed class action lawsuit Thursday, alleging the company pays women lower salaries than men for similar work. Because in at least 2 cases, it did. One plaintiff was hired before 2013. At that time, companies in California could ask about prior salaries when setting compensation for new hires, a practice that was outlawed in California in 2018. That plaintiff found out that a man with the same responsibilities was making $10,000 more than her. In over a decade of work at the company, the suit argues that she never got the kind of raise that put her on equal footing with her male peers. The other plaintiff, who's worked at Apple since 2012, found out she was paid less than men in similar roles. She complained. Apple hired a third party to investigate. When they concluded that she was right and should have been paid more, Apple did give her a raise, but didn't give her back pay to make up for what was missing. There's one other factor factoring into the case, though. It's not clear how exactly. When California stopped allowing companies to ask about prior salaries in 2018, the suit indicates that Apple switched to asking prospective employees about pay expectations instead. According to the Journal, the plaintiff's lawyers argue that the practice of asking about pay expectations perpetuates gender discrimination because women have historically been paid less than men. Now, the piece says the lawsuit seeks to represent a class of 12,000 women employed at Apple across several departments who have worked there since 2020. The plaintiffs allege that the company is violating the California Equal Pay, Employment, and Unfair Business Practice laws. There's apparently a 4-year window for filing such suits, hence the since 2020 part. For its part, an Apple spokesperson tells the Journal that the company has achieved and maintained gender pay equity since 2017. Apple works with an independent third-party expert to examine team members' total compensation and makes adjustments where necessary. Apple has been fined in South Korea for some reason. A piece from Apple Insider says Apple, Google, and over 180 other firms face fines for collecting user location data without the user's permission. If you're curious when and how, So is Apple Insider. It's not clear why Apple got fined, according to the report, and there is no public information that is granular enough to determine specifically why. Apple is proactive about seeking user permission for location tracking information. There are several spots in iOS and iPadOS where the user has to explicitly give permission for that data use. One imagines Apple will fight the fine, though it's not like it's going to break them if they lose. Apple has been ordered by the Korean Communications Commission to pay a fine of 210 million won, according to the report. That comes out to approximately $153,000 US. I doubt I will still be doing what I do when this data matters to what I do, but there was interesting news last week from the market tracker IDC. According to a release from the firm, smartphones in Africa outsold feature phones in Africa in the first quarter of this year, marking the first time that has ever happened on the continent. All of that was driven by Chinese brands like Transsion and Xiaomi. Still, in a decade or so, when everybody's freaking out about iPhone growth slowing in India, guess where people are going to be looking next? Unless we've traded up to AR glasses by then. Fingers crossed. News of a few Apple TV Plus titles on the horizon. A sort of out-of-nowhere Apple Originals action comedy got a trailer on Thursday. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release with release date and a trailer for the Boston-based movie The Instigators. Starring Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, the release says Rory, played by Damon, and Cobby, played by Affleck, are reluctant partners, a desperate father and an ex-con thrown together to rob a corrupt politician's ill-gained earnings. But when the heist goes wrong, the two find themselves engulfed in a whirlwind of chaos, pursued not only by police, but also backward bureaucrats and vengeful crime bosses. Bigger than Damon and one of the Afflecks reuniting may be the reunion between Damon and the director. Doug Liman was behind the camera. He directed The Bourne Identity. The Instigators will spend a week in theaters beginning Friday, the 2nd of August, before heading to your living room. It hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 9th of August. The trailer I mentioned is up now on YouTube. Coming sooner than The Instigators, Apple TV Plus issued a press release this week about a new documentary series on the way. Created and narrated by world-renowned chef Rene Redzepi, the release says Omnivore celebrates the cultivation, transformation, and consumption of 8 of the world's most essential ingredients, including bananas, chilies, coffee, corn, pork, rice, salt, and tuna, revealing how they serve as the cornerstones of global cultural heritage. Friend, you had me at coffee. 8 episodes for this one. It seems that all 8 will hit Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 19th of July, which is really good. The idea of waiting 3 weeks for coffee sounds ghastly. Hitting ahead of Omnivore, it's me! Apple TV Plus this week issued a press release and released a trailer for the live-action family series called Me. According to the company, Me follows a 12-year-old kid named Ben who is in the throes of middle school, complete with bullies, crushes, and school dances, as he adjusts to a newly blended family and the realization that he has superpowers. Throughout the 10-episode season, Ben goes on a journey of self-discovery and learns what having superpowers truly means. He finds an ally in his stepsister, Max, who helps him harness these powers and uncover the secrets behind the mysteries and tragedies of his community, all while he tries to come to terms with what it means to be Ben. Looks like all 10 episodes of this one will hit Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 12th of July. The trailer for Me is up now on YouTube. And finally today, an Apple Watch activity challenge that is bound to be a stretch. iLounge says the Cupertino company has queued up one for the International Day of Yoga. Happening on the 21st of June, participants need only record 10 minutes or more of a yoga workout in the fitness app or to the health app to get the usual virtual medallion as well as stickers for iMessage. You know, my stepfather used to say, "Don't get bent out of shape." You, dude. I'm gonna. And I'm gonna get a medal for doing it. That will wrap a fairly full week for macOS Ken, though I've got not one, but two other shows to share with you. First, the WWDC fun continues on this week's checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. For years, Apple has built a reputation on privacy and security, and that is about to be tested in a big way. We'll look at how they plan to keep Apple Intelligence secure, plus new features coming with privacy and security in mind. That is all on checklist number 379. Find it later today on the show's site, securemac.com/checklist, or wherever you get podcasts. And on today's edition of the Mac Observer Show, I am super happy to welcome my friend, Shelley Brisbane. Recorded pre-WWDC, Shelley joins me to talk about what everyone needs to know about accessibility in tech, her time with Apple Vision Pro, her thoughts on AI and Apple and AI, and the tech she wants more than anything else. You are looking for the Mac Observer Show. Find it at macobserver.com/podcasts or wherever else you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.